Did you see my face in your dreams? Did you ever imagine my screams? Did you see me taking my first steps, hearing my first words, or either taking my first breaths? Did you see my face in your dreams? Does your conscience ever tell you you were wrong? As you rip through Nanking as big and bad as thee, 260,000 plus lost their lives, including me. You see, on December 13th, 1937, my maturity had a timer. You made the clock start to tick. You raped the women and you killed the men. You're big and bad. Your presence commanded fear. You bayoneted her gut, you left her for dead, but before you finished her off, I distinctly remember what you said. My turn to take a bath. Well, splish splash, are you proud? The baby you ripped out fell to the sky and spit all kind of derogatory words towards was me. You ended my life without even a thought, so now I ask you, and please hear me out. Are you merely the monster that you seen, or did you see my face in your dreams? Here, the history repeats itself. Noteworthy occurrences are recorded, artifacts are preserved, and some are even profound enough to make it into our history books. But I often wonder, how do we pick and choose? How do we deem which is more important than another? Rarely mentioned in our textbooks or in our classrooms, the rape of Nanking is often downplayed. Author Irish Chang wrote the book, The Rape of Nanking, The Forgotten Holocaust of World War II, to shed light. Allow you to take a moment to put yourself in the shoes of these Chinese civilians. Close your eyes. Imagine someone comes into your household, beats your family, makes you commit incest, and then kills you. One event as such is crazy enough, but this happened in mass occurrences. Men were killed and women were taken advantage of because of the believed superiority of the Japanese Imperial Army. Soldiers would literally search for virgins to rape because they believed their virility would increase if they raped them. Now we can only imagine how traumatizing enough it is to be searched to see if you're a virgin, let alone raped afterwards. These men, or better yet monsters, will wear the pubic hairs of their victims as a badge of honor. Women were forced to become prostitutes with pretty names, a geisha. Confucianism upheld the purity of a woman. However, the prostitution rings that these Chinese civilians were succumbed to went against all of Confucius's ideas. A woman would easily be raped 3 to 4 times a day, 20 to 30 times if she was considered pretty. As the soldiers would scream, it was their turn to take a bath every time they raped them. They would rape a woman until she hemorrhaged and died or either passed out. Many women would succumb to isolation, shame, ruined health, or even committed suicide after learning. Irish Chang writes, "The rape of Nanking is not only a story of mass victimization, but also of individual strength and courage. Li Zuin fought off 3 soldiers, endured 37 bayonet scars, and even a miscarriage to avoid being raped. I can only imagine the amount of fear she possessed that she had to suppress with bravery to get herself out of such of a situation. This woman not only is a survivor, but she also served as a symbol for all who believed they had no hope against the Japanese Imperial Army. Death by fire, dogs, ice, mutilization, and even live burials made them think they stood no chance against the Japanese. However, foreigners helped. John Rabe, the creator of the Nanking Safety Zone for the International Committee, saved approximately 200,000 lives. Minnie Vautrin created the Jingling School for Girls, which created a safe haven for them. And Dr. Robert Wilson was the only surgeon at the Nanking University Hospital who would help these civilians." On August 14, 1945, after less than a week of bombing from the United States, Japan finally decided to surrender. The world had become knowledgeable of the events that were occurring at Nanking through video evidence from John McGee, several photos had leaked, and also burial sites were dug up. Soldiers knelt on the streets of Nanking as Chinese civilians beat them, but nothing comparable to the grief in which they had imposed upon them. Although brutal and disturbing, the history and lessons conveyed from this event should be spread amongst the population. As Nanking recovered from this brutal event, they are still plagued by the pain Japan imposed upon them and the pity they received from the world. So once again I ask, why? Why do we not hear of the massacre, the rape, the lives that were taken at Nanking? The answer is all a cover-up. In Japan, World War II wasn't even in their textbooks until the 1980s. At least 40 years after the fact, Japan would never acknowledge their wrongdoing, and even then, they sugarcoated the entire event. Japan's refusal to accept their wrong in this contributes to the long-going tension between them and China to this day. I have read that this event is not as widely known as the Holocaust because the death toll isn't as high. Why? Significance is now determined by the number of casualties opposed to the scale of inhumanity.